الأنبياء ما علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So, inshallah, we're going to read through the Quran. This is not a tafsir class. So we're not going to try and explain too many things, but make sure that we at least understand what's going on in general. Um, uh, if I can try and keep the questions to the beginning or end, right? So if you come to the beginning of the class, say, I have a question, and at the end of the class, you have a question, inshallah. If you have in your own Quran translations significant differences, just type them. Say, oh, shit, teacher, I have this. Is this different? What's going on here? Right? Because obviously there's different interpretations, different ways of translating. And so, you know, it's useful to see those differences here and there, right? Particularly if it's major fiqh issues or something like that. Okay, inshallah. So everybody's clear, inshallah, on what we're doing, and then we will start, inshallah. So we're reading here from the Clear Quran by Dr. Mustafa Khattab. It's a clear one. It's nice. There's also other ones. I shared Sheikh Nuh Keller's translation there. There's other good ones, Abdul Halim, and anything else. It's useful. So Bismillah. Let's look at starting with the Fatiha. So the Fatiha. We're all familiar with the Fatiha, of course. So it's a Meccan surah, a surah revealed in Mecca, which is reciting 17 times at least a day, and it is a cornerstone of the Quran. It sums up our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we shall see. Is it permissible to write notes in the English translation? It is permissible, as it is permissible also to write notes in your own copy of the Mus'haf, the own Arabic one as well. But you might not want to do that. It depends, right? So many shuyukh will do that. They'll write notes in the Mus'haf itself, and many scholars will not. So that's an issue of kind of like how exactly, but it's in terms of halal, haram, it's totally fine. Okay. So it sums up our relationship with the Creator, and this is something we do on a daily basis. Um, so it says it sums up the relationship between the Creator and His creation, Allah's undisputed authority in this world and the hereafter, and humanity's constant dependence upon Him for guidance and assistance. So a key theme that we're going to see up time and time again, which is we as Sunni Muslims, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of our material and spiritual lives. Right? Allah is in control of our spiritual lives. So we ask Allah to help us in guiding us spiritually, right? Not just materially. Meaning, what does that mean? It means I need help to do what is right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't just left me, right? He chooses whether I do right or wrong. So therefore, I should ask Him to help me do what is right. Right? He is in control of those things. Okay? And certain, deviant sects in Islam, they said that predestination, the idea that everything is preordained and everything, there's destiny, doesn't apply to your good deeds and bad deeds, because that wouldn't be fair, because therefore you wouldn't be free. But we don't believe that. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined whether we do good or bad, and He's in control of our hearts and as Sunni Muslims, and we ask Allah to help us, right, for our guidance on a daily basis. And the underlying theme is to acknowledge that He is the only God worthy of worship, a simple truth which the believers fail to grasp. All fundamental principles encapsulated in the surah are spelled out in the rest of the Quran. So, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do we begin this with the help of Allah and using the blessings of Allah's holy name? Do we embark on this journey of reciting the Quran? Do we embark on this journey of living life? Do we teach? Do we walk? Do we talk? Do we do whatever it is that we do in life? The most compassionate, the most merciful, and mercy here meaning kind and compassionate, not mercy meaning forgiving. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving. That's in other names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here's the concept of nurturing goodness. The rahim is the womb, the source of goodness, the source of nourishment, the source of protection. This is the context of this is the what's the word? The connotation of the word rahma, right? That it's like a mother, that maternal giving goodness as opposed to mercy, meaning Allah doesn't punish us. All praise and thanks is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of all realms of being, every single realm of being, every single kind of thing that could possibly be, the most merciful and compassionate, the master of the day of judgment. So we notice with the Fatiha is cut in two halves, talking about Allah and talking to Allah. And this is our spiritual journey, right? Our spiritual journey is dealing with Allah as something that is absent from us. We know mentally that God exists. We know mentally that He's in charge of our lives. We know mentally there, but we don't feel it in our core. We don't feel it in our heart. We don't feel it as an experience. But we have to deal with it, as the Prophet ﷺ taught us in the Hadith, and ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah, that you should worship Allah as if you see Him. وَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. And if you don't sense that you see Him, then at least act like it, right? Know that He's seeing you. So you begin, okay, if Allah could see me, I wouldn't do this. If Allah could see me, I would do that. If Allah could hear me, I would say this to Him. So we basically fake it. We act as if Allah's part of our lives. We act as if we rely on Allah. We act as if Allah's around us and with us, right? And we deal with Allah in His merciful side and His august and punishment side. So the rahmah, oh, we have hope in Allah and we have fear of Allah because He is Maliki Yawmiddin, the owner, or Maliki Yawmiddin, the owner, or Maliki Yawmiddin, the king of the day of judgment. He has absolute sovereignty on that day, and that what He says goes. We don't have any choice, and we will be punished if we do what is wrong. So we're scared. So we have love and fear, or hope and fear, love and awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we deal with Allah in that way as an absent being, as if somebody who's not there in our life. And what is the result through dealing with Allah in the right way? Mushahada, that you work with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. Then we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and now He is part of our life because we've dealt with Him in the right way. He's now part of our life, that we can talk to Him in the second person, you, right? As the Prophet ﷺ taught Ibn Abbas, احفظ الله احفظ الله احفظ الله تجده تجاهك, right? Look out for Allah and Allah will look out for you. I deal with Allah. Look out for what is halal. Look out for avoiding. Make sure you avoid the haram. Make sure you would do things that if Allah was watching, you'd be happy to do, right? احفظ الله تجده تجاهك, and look out for Allah and you will find Him right in front of you. A day will come where you feel like Allah's there with you, not physically, but in another sense, like it's almost like every single thing is just saying, this is Allah and this is His creation. Everything's sent to you through Allah. Everybody talks to you through Allah. And this is how you deal with it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're talking to Allah now. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. Nobody else can help you. Nobody else can harm you. Right? Nobody else can guide you. You can't even guide yourself. Your only hope and reliance is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, guide us the straight path. Right? The straight path is one. The crooked paths are many. The path of those you have blessed is our connection to the past of the righteous way, the righteous Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the righteous prophets of the past that we're going to be reading about in the Quran, and not the people with whom you are displeased, right? Like the Jews and like the Christians and any other people who are misguided. It doesn't specifically mean those, it means them in a general sense, them specifically, and anybody else who have gone astray or have actively earned your wrath. مَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ, from the word ghadab, Allah is angry and wrath with them. So we have an emotional relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not a mercantile relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mercantile is business. Allah, I do good deeds and you give me paradise. Not like that. Ya Allah, we want to go do what is right, and we don't want your wrath. We don't want you to be angry with us. You want us to be pleased with us. This is the greatest thing that we can have, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us. So this is a prayer that we work on day in and day out, day in and day out. So this is like our chant, the Fatiha. It's a very important thing. Many people, they focus on numbers. How many rak'ahs did you do? How many this? How many that? It's not really that important, right? You should, stick to a certain number of rak'ahs of sunnahs, etc. You do. But the most important thing, let's say somebody like Dr. Dr. Mubarak, he's like, okay, I've got 2 minutes to pray. I'm about to be in the theater. I've got this. I've got to do that. I've got to do these things. Just get your Fatiha done properly, right? This is the mission. Doing the Fatiha properly, your sujood done properly, right? You connected in those words, right? This is very important. And then we're starting with the longest surah in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah. It says this is a Madani surah. What does that mean? It means the Prophet ﷺ was originally in Mecca. He received revelation in Mecca. He was in a community of pagans. He was preaching to pagans. He did not have political power. His followers did not have political power. They were weak. There was no military. There was no religious laws because there's no religious state. And what's happening in that time is the Prophet is doing da'wah to two things: to Tawheed, belief in Allah, and to basic morality. Turn away from harming other people. So in the Meccan surahs, they're focusing on Judgment Day, they're focusing on belief in Allah, focusing on patience, being under the abuse of a tyrant, and lots of references to Fir'aun because it's a similar kind of pharaoh, similar kind of world. And then there is the Medini period. The Prophet ﷺ then, after the Hijrah, is then a statesman. He is the king, so as to speak. He is the head of the state. Now there are laws because there's a Muslim polity, there's a Muslim country. Medina is a small Muslim country, right? Like the Vatican, right? A small Catholic country, right? So it's a small Muslim country. He is the lawgiver. He is the Jews, for example, are underneath him politically. There is such things as marriage rights. There's such things as laws, penal code, and there is now a reason, for example, to be a fake Muslim because it's materially beneficial, right, to fake that you're Muslim. There is no need to be a fake Muslim in Mecca because there's no material benefit in being a fake Muslim in Mecca where you're being abused for your faith, but rather in Medina it is useful. So there's lots of different things. So in Medinan period, we see much more rules, details about halal and haram, details of how to interact politically, battles. The analogy between Bani Israel is very different. So in Mecca, the Jews, the story of the children of Israel is referred to in the context of Pharaoh and Musa and the difficulty of being under this abuse of power. Now, it's very different. Now, the analogy is they were a nation and you will be a nation. They had rules, you had rules. They engaged in battle, you engaged in battle, etc. And so the analogies are different, right? So this is a Madani surah, um, and in it it's called Surah Al-Baqarah because in it there's reference to a key story with a cow and the children of Israel. But there's a lot of reference to laws. There's a lot of reference to the children of Israel and a lot of shadows of how Bani Israel dealt with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how the Muslims now have to deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is also a last call, right, for the Jews who rejected Jesus and are now rejecting Prophet Muhammad. This is the last call for their redemption, for them to be included in this pact. So there's lots of references to biblical themes, biblical stories, a lot of reference to Jews. Okay, so it says, which takes the name from the story of the cow in verses 67, 63, details the main concepts of the previous surah with emphasis on the qualities of the believers, disbelievers, and hypocrites. Again, there's no context for hypocrisy, being a fake Muslim in Mecca. It's only in the Medinan period that makes sense. Allah's power to create and to resurrect, the enmity of Satan towards Adam alayhi salam and his descendants, as well as Allah's covenant with Moses and the children of Israel. Several rulings are given in regards to marital relationships, bequests, jihad, fasting, pilgrimage, donations, debts, and interest. Unlike the next surah, which focuses on the Christian perception of Jesus, this surah dedicates a sizable portion to Jewish attitudes and practices. So again, it says, in the name of Allah, with the help of Allah, relying on Allah, turning to Allah. Um, Okay. Turning to Allah, sorry, and just um, who is the source of all kindness and mercy and compassion. And it says Alif Lam Mim. We do not know what this means. Okay, we don't know what these means at all. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins certain um, surahs with letters. This is not something that is known, a style of, for example, poetry in Arab poetry. It is not something the Prophet ﷺ would do. He wouldn't begin a khutbah by randomly saying letters. It's something we do not understand at all. It's totally lost on us, right? Alif Lam Mim. It's like saying ALM, right? Imagine if there was a book. Imagine there was a I wrote a novel, and every now and then a chapter begins with a code. You're trying to think, what does this code mean? We don't understand what it means. However, what the ulama have noticed, right, is that the letters that are used in the beginning of these surahs are exactly half of the alphabet. So the Arabic alphabet is 28 letters, and so 14 letters are used. There's 14, which is half. And if we look at those 14 letters represent almost exactly half of every single group of letters, every single phonetic grouping of letters in the Quran. What is that in Arabic? What does that mean? So if we study phonetics or phonology and we study tajweed, we notice that letters have different qualities, right? Like qalqala, like isti'la, like al-rakhawa wa shidda, right? There are some letters that are liquid letters, right? They flow like S. Other letters stop like at, right? A T stops. Some letters are heavy, some letters are light, they have different qualities, right? Different qualities. Some letters are voiced, some letters are unvoiced, right? Like a P is an unvoiced B, and a D is a voiced T. So these are categories, linguistic categories, or phonetic categories of letters. So what we notice is not only a half of the letters are used, but of each group of letters, right? Of each group of letters, which we study in Tajweed, we study in phonology, then it's basically half, right? Now, sometimes in that group there might be an odd number. So you will see sometimes it would be like there's five in that group. So therefore, for example, two or three will be used. But basically speaking, what it looks like is half of the letters have been used, and basically half of every single phonetic group of letters has been used. So it is as if, and again, we don't know, right? We don't know. But it is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took half of the letters of the alphabet with half and an exact half. Like if he was going to make teams, it would be fair. And he said, I'm taking half and you're taking half. Let's play ball. Let's have a competition. Who can beat who? I'm giving you half of the letters and I'll take half of the letters. And these are your letters. You Arabs, these are your letters. I'll give you half and I'll take half, and we will compete. Who can make the most profound um, letters um, uh, uh, yeah, who can make the most profound book or poem or whatever it is, right? And we'll see later on the recurrent challenge in the Quran to the non-believers, say if this is really made up, then make up another book. Okay, so it says Alif Lam Mim. So again, Allahu A'lam what it means. This is the book. And there's lots of rhetoric happening here, and I don't have time to go through these things. In the tafsir class, we spent, I think, 2 months on this something we got to hear maybe after 2 months, right? And so we don't have time to do that, so we can't really go through all of the rhetoric here. So as this is the book, there is no disturbing doubt, no raib in it. A guide for al-muttaqeen, the people who are careful, right? Not just mindful of Allah, but they're trying to push away and protect themselves from Allah's wrath. So fear of Allah is a key theme in the Quran. I remember somebody last year when we went through the whole Quran in Ramadan, they said, the message I'm getting is we're supposed to be in continual fear of Allah. I'm like, yes, thank you. Right? Taqwa is a key theme in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a giant teddy bear that's come to hug you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is august. He is merciful and kind, but he is august and terrible. Allah is terrible in the real sense of the word, not terrible as in bad, but he deserves to feel terror from. He's the one we should be. No other terror means anything in compared to Allah's wrath and Allah's power. Right? So fear of Allah, this is a key theme that's going to come up again and again and again. I.e., if you're not scared of Allah, you're not gonna, and you don't feel awe towards Allah, right? Then you don't, it doesn't really, the Quran and Revelation doesn't resonate with you. It doesn't really mean anything to you. But if you fear Allah, things will work out for you. Those who believe in the unseen and they establish the prayer, meaning they pray regularly, properly, with focus in a group when possible, right? And donate from that which we have provided for them, of zakah, of charity, whatever it may be. Who believe in that which has been revealed to you, O Prophet, and that which is revealed to before you, i.e., you are a continuation of the same message, not a new message, and have sure faith, yaqeen, certainty in the hereafter. It is they alone who are truly guided by their Lord, and it is they alone uh, uh, who who will be successful. The qualities of the disbeliever. So these little titles are not part of the Quran, of course. These are added here by the translator. As for those who persist in disbelief, it is the same whether you warn them or you don't warn them, right? So Allah is telling us, telling the Prophet ﷺ, there will be certain people, it doesn't matter what you do, they will not listen. The Antichrist will know exactly what's going on. When Jesus kills the Antichrist, he will tell him, you know and I know that you cannot escape from me. But so why didn't he believe then? Why won't the Antichrist believe in but why won't he enter Islam? Because he's damn stubborn, right? Literally damn stubborn. He's damning himself by being stubborn, right? That's how some people are. It's not that you're not doing a good job. It's not that it's not clear. It's not this. There are certain people who just don't want to listen. So your job is to do da'wah, and those hearts that are open, they will listen. Those hearts who are sealed are not. It may be that hearts will open at different times in different places, right? But your job is to do what you have to do, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He chooses who listens and who doesn't. Allah has sealed their hearts, and their hearing and their sight is covered. They will suffer a terrible, tremendous punishment. So, i.e., why are people sent astray? Because Allah chooses. So Allah chose to send somebody astray? Yes. How could Allah do that? That's not fair. Allah can do whatever He wants. He is the Lord. Oh man, I'm super scared now. What if Allah chooses me to be led astray? Oh yeah, that's very dangerous. Then ask Allah. Okay, when do you ask Allah? The Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat Mustaqim, guide me. So the attitude is Allah is in control. You are not in control. I am not in control. Act like it then. Plead, Ya Allah, guide me. Ya Allah, help me. And Allah, if you turn to Allah with sincerity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you. But if you you don't take it seriously, then what happens is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes your iman away. Spain was a Muslim country, not a Muslim country anymore. Not a Muslim country anymore. Goodbye. Allah took the iman away. It's gone. So, iman is not, faith is not something you are born with. It is something that you accept and given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes, He will take it away from you. Right? As we'll see time and time again. And this happened with Bani Israel. You were guided, but you blew it. It will be taken away. And that's the case with every single one of us. So part of our fear is, I fear that I'm Muslim now, but I may die as a kafir. Why? Because I don't take my iman as something serious. Allah has sealed their hearts, and their hearing and their sight is covered. They will suffer a tremendous punishment. And of the hypocrites, and there are some who say, we believe in Allah on the last day, but they're not believers in any sense of the word. They seek they seek to deceive Allah and the believers, yet they only deceive themselves, but they fail to perceive it. And so, key principle: the only person who can harm you is yourself. You cannot harm anybody else. Nobody can It's not that you're in a circumstance where somebody's bad to you or they're lying to you. No, 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 no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you phenomena as tests in your life. You're in a prison cell, you're free, you're healthy, you're sick, you have money, you're poor, you're whatever it is, you're young, you're old. Allah puts you in a situation and it's just a simulator. And Allah tests you. And so people think that they can trick other people or harm other people or abuse other people. But in reality, you can only abuse yourself. You can only abuse yourself. It's just you and your reaction to your situation. There is a sickness in their hearts, and Allah only lets their sickness increase. They will suffer a painful punishment for their lies. And when they are told, do not spread corruption on the land, they say, what, oh, huh? We're the nice people, right? They lie to themselves and they lie to other people, saying, we're the good people, you're the bad people, right? And this is always the case. The people who are, do the worst in the world are always the people who are self-righteous. They see themselves as the people who are, they label themselves as the good people. We're just keeping culture. Why are you coming with a new religion, right? We're just being nice, right? Or whatever it is. And it is they, indeed, it is they who are the corrupters, but they fail to see it. And it comes in the hadith that the whole world curses, right? The world hates kuffar and hates kufr, and it finds it difficult, whereas the world loves the believers, and the world cries for a believer. The Abdullah Mas'ud, I believe, he said that when a believer, when a single believer of the millions of believers that exist, when they die, there is a thulma, right, or a thalma. I can't remember the word. Maybe Dr. Mubarak can help me here. Is it thulma or thalma? There's a gap, right? When you have a little cut in some pottery or something like that, there's a gap in the world, and the world cries for you. So the world loves belief and it loves righteousness. The environment loves it, and it hates kufr and it hates sin, right? And so they say we're good people, but actually they're the people who are ruining everything. And when they are told believe as others believe, um, they reply, why on earth would I believe? What a stupid and dumb thing to do to become Muslim. Why would I do that? Right? That's for backward people, right? That's backward. Wearing hijab is backward. Following the Sharia is backward. That's weird. Why would you do that? Indeed, it is they who are fools, but they don't know. And when they meet the believers, they say, we believe, yeah, but they're lying. But when they are alone with their evil, with their shayateen, with their evil associates, they say, and here the word shayateen is literal, right? In English, we might refer to somebody as a devil. He's a devil. He's a demon. He's a right metaphorically. In Arabic, it's not a metaphor. It's real. You say so fulan shaitan, so and so is a shaitan. That's real, right? The shayateen of the jinn or the ins. You can be a human shaitan or a jinni shaitan, right? So people who call to the haram and call to sin and disbelief, these people are shayateen, literally, right? So that's a word used here. The evil associates, they're shayateen. They say, we are with you. We were only mocking. We're just laughing at Allah. Allah will throw their mockery back at them, leaving them to continue wandering blindly in their defiance. They are the ones who trade guidance for misguidance. And this is what we do in every single moment of our life. Every single moment of our life, we choose to do what is better or to do what is worse, to do what is halal or to do what is haram. Every single moment, we're either buying stocks of the akhirah or selling stocks of the akhirah for nothing. They are the ones who trade misguidance for guidance, but this trade is profitless, and they are not rightly guided. Another way you could translate it is, um, they weren't guidance receivers to begin with. Ma kanu muhtadin means they weren't to begin with, they weren't in that category of people who could actually take on guidance, right? So they weren't even eligible for that to begin with, right? Such that we should ever imagine that they should be guided. They're example of somebody who kindles a fire, but when it lights up all around it, Allah takes away the light. So Allah takes away the good of the fire and leaves the bad of the fire, the heat, the burning of it, leaving them in complete darkness, unable to see. They are willfully deaf, dumb, and blind, so they will never return to the straight path. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't, it's not that they're literally deaf, dumb, and blind, or literally insane, or literally bad. What it means is they lie to themselves so much that they don't see what's going on. Just like somebody who's exceptionally proud, like they don't even see their pride, or somebody who's just a fake, or somebody who is narcissistic. They don't even see what's going on. They do see what's going on. They are morally responsible. They have a brain. They know what's going on, but they just hide it so much they don't even see it anymore. Or those caught in a rainstorm from the sky with darkness, thunder, and lightning. They press their fingers into their ears at the sound of every thunderclap for fear of death. So the way that they interact with religion is everything good is bad for them, right? Instead of it being rain, which is a providing of sustenance, it's like there's good and there's bad, and it's just like their continual fear of it. They have this very weird relationship with it. The fire, there's no benefit from it. So they're continually like it's a huge problem for them. That's why they don't want to hear about religion, right? And Allah encompasses the disbelievers with His might, right? So this is a very important thing to understand, right? One of the Sahaba was beating one of his slaves, and the Prophet ﷺ said, realize that when you raise that stick, there's somebody who has even more power over you, right? And he was like, oh man, and realize so the same thing, somebody's wronging you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is surrounding that person from all sides. That bomb dropped because Allah made it drop. There's nothing, there's no fight between Allah and the baddies. It's just Allah's omnipotent raw might, destroying people at their own hands. And you benefit by reacting in the right way, by defending yourself, by being patient if you can't defend yourself, or whatever it is. But there's no control, there's nobody who is outside of Allah's control. It's a very important thing to understand, right? It's not a fight between good and badness. It's just Allah's total qahariya, right? He is the one who is always winning regardless. The question is just, do you want to be on his winning side or not? So there's no time where the good side is losing. It doesn't work like that. It's just Allah testing us in different ways. So Allah has totally controlled these disbelievers, and He's just making their akhirah, making their next world worse for them. It is as if the lightning were out to snatch their sight. Whenever lightning strikes, they walk into its light, and right, and when darkness covers them, but when darkness covers them, they stand still. Had Allah willed, He would have taken away their hearing and sight. Surely Allah is most capable of everything. Therefore, O humanity. So this word nas is used frequently in the Quran, nas. For the Quraysh, right? For the tribe of the Quraysh in Mecca, they saw themselves as a special people, right? That they're a special people and they're in a special place, and they have the Kaaba. So then there was the Nas, which often means non-Quraysh, right? The non-Quraysh. But it's frequently used, the word Nas, it's frequently used as like the word mean people of humanity in the as in opposition to a more restrictive idea. So the Quraysh, it means Nas, i.e. non-Quraysh. Believers, there's Nas, which is non-believers. Bani Israel, and then there's Nas, which is non-Bani Israel, right? There's something else. So it means in this, it comes in Surah Al-Hujurat. Allah talks about, oh believers, oh believers, oh believers, and then a message to all people, i.e., even if you're not a believer, we've created you. You're all the same. You all have one race. Bani Adam means the tribe of Adam. You're all one race. Don't be racist and don't see yourself as this group or that group. You're all one. And the only thing that makes you different from one another is your taqwa, right? So this is this general sense. Worship your Lord, who created you and those before you, so that you may have taqwa. Notice this message: have taqwa, fear Allah, right? You become fearful of Allah, that you might be actively fearful of Allah. He is the one who has made the earth a place of settlement for you, and the sky a canopy, and sends down rain from the sky, causing fruits. You could say crops as well here, right? Samara means the upshot, doesn't have specifically fruits, to grow as a provision for you. So do not knowingly set up equals to Allah in worship. And inshallah, we'll stop here. And inshallah, next week we'll try and go at a speed, because we don't want to linger too much. There'll be certain themes that will come up again and again and again. And so inshallah, we'll start from here. Inshallah, next week. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. So again, please, any questions? Um, um, okay, we'll just take one question, inshallah. Otherwise, I have to, because I have to go. I'm praying Maghrib. Go ahead, go ahead, Amjad. Sister Amjad, are you speaking? So I'm not sure if your microphone. Yeah, I can hear you now. There we go. Go ahead.
السلام عليكم أستاذ.
Uh, go ahead, Bismillah.
أوكي. آه، الآيات هذه بالبداية نزلت على من؟ على بني إسرائيل؟
لا لا لا، أنا يعني
آه.
نزل عليهم يعني بخصوصهم.
يا هذه الآيات اللي لا
أكيد.
دارسينها يعني.
نعم، هناك قولين في الموضوع. هل هم منافقو اليهود في المدينة أم المنافقون بشكل عام؟ هناك قولان بس. يعني بشكل عام ينبغي أن نعمم، لا ننظر إلى خصوص الأفراد، هل هم بني إسرائيل أم لا. ننظر إلى المنافقين بشكل عام.
يعني هذه الآيات بشكل عام.
بشكل عام،
أوكي تمام.
حيث تنطبق على كل منافق حتى في المستقبل، المنافقي المسلمين الآن وحتى في المستقبل. تمام.
أوكي تمام، جزاك الله خير.
Amjad was asking a question. She's asking, were these verses, were they specific to the Jew, the munafiqun, the hypocrites of the Jews? And I was saying there's two opinions on the issue, and there are certainly of those people. But I'm saying that, generally speaking, just as we mentioned with غَيْرِ مَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ, is that specifically the Jews and the Christians, or is it the Jews and the Christians and anybody like them? We say we should, generally speaking, we take it in the most general sense that implies to any fake Muslims who do not believe, but they claim that. Inshallah, okay, we'll stop there, inshallah ta'ala, because I have to run. وصلى الله على. So if anybody has any other questions, please put them on the group, inshallah. We can type them there, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.